Are you ready to create a life you crave? Let's spin that doom loop of negativity into an upward success cycle and start living lucky.
Good morning.
I'm Jana.
I'm Jason.
And we are living lucky.
You are too.
We're talking about water skiing.
I love it. Let's get wet and moist.
Jason and I started skiing many, many years ago. And I'm going to be real with you. When we would get into the water, the frustration levels would skyrocket. I could not get in the ski all by myself. In fact, I remember the first ski lesson that I went to, they literally threw me into the swimming pool. I thought I was going to get out on the lake. They're like, no, you go into the pool and you practice for 3 hours just trying to get in.
Yeah, that's fun just sitting there watching.
I thought I was going to drown. And then, slowly, I would ski with people on each side of me. I would ski with somebody helping me get up, and then they would just wait in the middle of the lake while I went on a round.
Hold the back of the ski until so that you could take off, just so you could hold your balance.
Yes, and then they'd have to help me get in, and eventually, Jason and I had some all-out fights on the water.
Whose fault is it?
Yeah,
it's
right?
always, and I've learned it's always the driver's fault.
Yeah, it is the driver's fault. Oh, no, Jason
I didn't
would
find
say,
that out until we hired a coach.
Like every time I didn't get up, Jason would say, did I start off too fast? Did I start off too slow? Yes. Yes, both.
Yes, and.
You did both. So what we're going to talk about in today's podcast is really reflecting on how far we've come. And the one thing that really helped us get to that next level in water skiing was hiring a coach.
So it's how far we've come and how we've come this far.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of times people think, well, they're just naturally good at it.
No.
Because you're so gifted and you're an athlete.
Well, thank you. But water skiing did not come easy for me.
It didn't. But so for me, when I watch you play the piano, I'm like, oh, wow, she's just good at that. But I know that you've taken lessons
my entire life. My dad told me not too long ago, I was on the phone with him, and he said, what you do in private, you will be rewarded with publicly.
I'm a firm believer in that.
And I guess what I want to bring up is we have been taking little bitty steps toward water skiing. Now, it's not always consistent, and it hasn't always been
pretty.
The same year. Do you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I would get so frustrated with it, I would put it aside and I wouldn't want to come back to it. I would say, you know what? It's not fun. It's not fun. And if it's not fun, then I personally don't see the point in doing it. I think life needs to have a little fun.
Right. Well, life, if it's not fun, why? If it's not something you have to do, then why do it? If it's not fun and it has to get done, can you delegate it?
And so where we're at right now is, if you listen to our last podcast, I have entered a water ski competition. Now, just between all of us on this podcast, I am so not ready for this.
I think you are.
However, I'm going to step into it. This is really getting out of my comfort zone.
So I firmly believe that you are ready for it, because I believe that what's needed on national teams and these elite teams is the mindset of a champion. And that is you. That's what you have. You can train people to do anything. You can develop a skill set, but the mindset is something that a lot of times that's a longer track to build.
Yeah.
And the mindset is something you've developed over your lifetime.
Well, I will say that in my life, whenever I am struggling with something, if I go the extra mile to get a coach, to get an outside perspective, to get someone to mentor me, to help me, and to be an outside set of eyes and ears, and to say, this is what's happening.
Yeah, this is what I see. And this is where you can tweak it. This is where you can get optimal performance. This is the one piece that you're missing the boat on.
Sometimes that's all we need
Missing
in
the boat.
order for
Ski
us
joke.
in order for us to have a breakthrough.
Yes.
Right? And then once we break through that ceiling, then our ceiling becomes our new floor.
Yes. Oh, yes. So big.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. We hired Franck de Boyo,
We hired Franck from France.
world champion,
Yes.
trick skier, slalom skier, and jumper.
Yes. Now he knew nothing about sit ski,
Right.
but that's okay. We figured that part
But
out
he knew
together.
he knew all of the schematics of the sport.
Now here's
And that's
another
what we were
thing.
missing, because you're an expert in adapting.
Now here's another thing that people don't realize. We were going to ski at 6 a.m. in the morning because Jason had to leave
We
for
were-
work.
We were going at 6 a.m. in daylight savings time.
We were
whenever
being in the water by 6 a.m.
Yeah, and at 5 a.m. when it got light earlier, because we were in the water 30 minutes before the sun came up, so we could be in the ski area by sunup.
And the other thing that I want to mention is that
In
we were doing
January
this
and February.
in January, February, when it was freezing cold. We were wearing wetsuits
Gosh,
to do
it was
this.
so cold. It's like
Do you remember
it was
all
like
of this?
skiing in needles. Do I remember it?
And so when I think of the statement, what you do in private, you will be rewarded with publicly, I just want all of us right now to pat ourselves on the back because we're here.
Yeah.
We're here. And when you look back and reflect on how far you have come, the dots start to connect.
Yes, they do. And if you're struggling with anything, reach out to the person that has experience in whatever it is you're trying to do. Or if you're struggling with mindset, reach out to the person that is excelling in the mindset and that is always like pushing forward, pushing those limits, and figure out, okay, what is it that objectively that you see where I'm missing the boat? Where am I falling into my comfort zone? Where am I holding myself back?
Or
And
instead
then-
of asking those questions, ask, how can I get better?
Yes.
How can I get to the goal that I want?
And then you will move
What
your
can I
ceiling.
do to improve?
Your old ceiling will become your new floor, and you will continue to level up in your life.
It's called a breakthrough.
Yes.
It's called a breakthrough. And we've had them over and over in our life. And this water skiing is just one more
example.
example.
And it's a physical manifestation of everything we're moving towards.
I also want to bring up the fact that in just the last 3 days, we've been training for this competition. We have hit challenges. We've hit so many obstacles. We've hit so many hurdles. And yet I feel like we both handle it so much better.
Yes. Because
So
and
much
one of the
better.
things is once you get into the flow of adapting and communicating and knowing that you have all the tools necessary. Because when we first started, it was like, I don't know what I don't know. You don't know what you don't know. I don't know what you don't know.
And then we would say, what am I doing wrong?
Yes.
What am I doing wrong?
And when both of us have no idea what we're doing, and we're trying to do the skiing, the sport, and we're trying to guide each other, we get lost in the process.
However,
And we don't know who to blame for what's going wrong.
There is no blame. There is no blame. I do feel
There was
that
then.
now that was then.
Right.
That was then. And to see us now, the
Oh.
way we communicate, the way we ask better questions. So Anthony Robbins always, or Tony Robbins. Why do I call him Anthony? I feel like I'm his mother. Anthony Robbins.
Anthony, get in here.
Although he's way older
Anthony,
than me.
you get in here.
Don't
And he's
get that visualization. He says, if you want a better quality of life, ask
a better quality question.
better quality questions. And so this is a reminder to all of us when we are facing any sort of challenge or we want to achieve some sort of goal, what are the questions you are asking?
Yeah. Make sure that they're high quality, empowering questions that lead to solutions, not something that is disempowering and leads to the why we can't, why I don't have, why I'm deficient.
Empowering questions lead to empowerment. And so if we concentrate on where we want to go, if we ask the right questions, the universe will always give you an answer. So why not ask the questions that lead us to where we want to go?
Yeah, because if you asking crappy questions, you're going to get crappy answers.
And that leads me to the last little point that I want to bring up about this water ski thing is in water skiing, when you're going around the buoys in the slalom course, where you look is where you're going to go. It's where your shoulders are automatically going to turn. It's where your ski is going to point. Where you look is where you go. So let's apply that to real life, because in life, what you focus on, what you look at, what you are aware of, where you put your energy, that is where your life is going to head.
This is so big because we live in a world right now that has so much to offer. So many wonderful things. I mean, we
in fact, our friend Keith always says,
oh my gosh, Keith always says, today, this moment in time is the best moment in the history of the world. We have cell phones. We have all these things that no one ever dreamed of having 50 years ago, 1,000 years ago. So today is the best thing. We have so many opportunities. But the thing is, the people with the most money and the most marketing experience turn our focus to the things that we don't have, those disempowering questions, the things that we feel like we're deficient in and want us to spend money in those things.
It's like a magic trick.
Yes. So look to where you want to be and don't focus on what you don't have. Don't focus on where you're deficient. Focus on how you want to get better. Focus on the skill set that you want to get more proficient in, and then start building towards. And that's going to be the way to that next best goal and that next leveling up in yourself. It's amazing.
Okay. So we can't wait to keep you informed of how our water ski training is going. And I hope
the qualifier
that we gave you a few nuggets that you can apply to your own lives. Thank you so much for joining us.
And we hope that you keep living lucky.
Bye. If the idea of living lucky appeals to you, visit us at startlivinglucky.com.